Since I've been back in America, I've been asked a lot by friends and family why I want to move to Australia full time. I think it's pretty common and obvious why people want to do, the working holiday visa their first year. And people make comments to me, yeah, you might love it so much, you're going to want to stay and people never want to leave. But I didn't actually think ever in my entire life that I would want to just move to another country. And even now, it doesn't really feel like that, especially because Australia just kind of feels like an alternate universe of America. I mean, there's capitalism, people speak English, the food is exactly the same, and there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. The first thing that I always tell people is the work culture, which I think is the most obvious when you look at America compared to other countries. But it's not just about the fact that, you get time off. A lot of people say in corporate jobs, you can get up to like 6 weeks off in the year, and that's kind of normal, but only like 2 weeks off a year is normal in the US. And I have experienced that personally, yes. The wages are better, especially for hospitality jobs, and jobs that are considered minimum wage here are, I would make the same amount at my social media job in America that I do working at a cafe. And I can work part-time and cover my bills and have extra money to go out to eat, shop, travel. And I think there's obviously, once you actually are an Australian citizen, you're paying different taxes. It's still hard probably to buy a home. That's not just complete sunshine and rainbows. But with the working culture, because that's how it is, because it's normal to go travel and take time off work and for cafes to close at 2 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. in the US, the people that you do work with all have the same mindset that they just want to live and enjoy life and, do things outside of work, not just work all day and come home and that's the norm. So it doesn't feel abnormal when you're doing it there. I've met a lot of people who work corporate jobs or work in tech, and they're like, yeah, I quit my job. I just don't want to work right now. I have money saved. I'm taking 2 months off. Then I'll just look for another job. That's not normal here when it comes to corporate jobs. And so when I would move into a house and there would be someone else who'd be unemployed and they're from Australia and they just go to the beach every day, the fact that that is normal is really not fathomable in the US. And it makes me feel the fact that I actually can live a life like this, that I want to live, why should I feel guilty about that? And you don't have to feel guilty about it there. And I think that when it comes to making a wage where you cover your bills and then you have money left over and you're not paying so much money for health insurance and just all these extra things that are so expensive, that makes a huge difference. The fact that it would be so hard to save money when I was working a full-time job that paid me $80,000 a year. When I was in college, I thought I would be rich if I was making that much money. And at the end of the day, I barely saw any of it to do things that I enjoy. I would barely go out to eat. I would barely go out. I would stay in a lot, and I still felt like I didn't see my money because it went towards my rent. And the other thing I will say is you can kind of feel like you're living a beach tropical lifestyle all over the country. So in America, if you want to live by a beach, you have to move down south or west coast. And of course, a lot of those places are popular and going to be expensive. And there's obviously options that aren't as expensive, but those choices are very limited. A lot of these places in the US, has their 4 seasons are more intense, and it's a great life that you can have here. So I'm not knocking that. But in Australia, you can go to any city on the coast of any side of the country and you can have that lifestyle, and it's just more options. And I realized that it's really important to me to live where there's a beach and sun and feel like that's improved my mental health a lot. And to be able to choose beach towns to live in that aren't crazy expensive is really exciting to me. And the fact that, people get up normally in the morning to go for a run or surf, and, you go to a cafe and everybody's just having the best time. It is so different when you go to a cafe in the US and people are rushing to get there before work and blah, blah, blah. And it's just it is a huge difference. With all of that, because that's the stuff that I value and that's what I'm seeking, I meet a lot of other people with that mindset as well. And I've always felt out of place in the US a bit. And I've always felt like what I wanted seemed ridiculous. And the fact that those are the standards there, and, everybody I meet, they want to do some sort of activity outside. They want to, let's go snorkeling in the ocean. Let's go for a hike. Like, not, okay, there's obviously partying culture and all of that, but I'm not really the type of person to just, like, if I do something with friends, usually in the US, it's like, oh, like, let's go out. Let's go to dinner, get drinks. Let's go whatever to a bar. And every time I hung out with friends in Australia, it was just so different. It was like doing something outside, doing a Pilates class together, like making dinner together. Even if it was, okay, yeah, having people over and having a bottle of wine, it was different because, I'm meeting people from all over the world. And I think it's really cool when you meet people from other countries and you see the similarities and differences. And I felt like I was always sort of learning and growing from that. But also I just felt like I was in a room with people who understood me and who I understood on a certain level. Because if you pick up and you leave where you're from, that's a pretty big deal. So there's a reason why you're doing that. And I think that most backpackers in Australia have the same goal. And so I found this like kinship with people from other countries. And I think that that's really awesome. And I know that like I feel very whole when I'm in Australia. I feel like I'm at my full potential. I look back at pictures and videos from the year and I just like have never seen myself, I think, that happy and just excited about life, enjoying things day to day, and also feeling amazing just no matter what I was doing or I don't know how I was that day and got up. And even if it was just like staying at home, like I found so much joy in just like resting and making, an amazing meal for myself and laying around with my housemates and watching TV and going to bed at 8 p.m. Also, the aspect of that sort of mindset and those friendships, it means like it really felt to me like, okay, I'm like living with friends. Even if we're not living in the same house, it's like waking up and being like, yeah, like let's go for a walk and get coffee and whatever. And here, all my friends, like they have their own lives, like they're working their jobs and are busy, and it's cold now and it's just not the same. Like there's friends I haven't seen in 2 months because of just our schedules and what's going on. And when you live in certain areas in Australia, it feels a lot smaller and homey, and like you really are living with these people and you get this community. And just the fact that, like friends would come over, we'd make dinner, we'd eat on the porch and just see each other for a couple hours and hey, like let's meet up and take pictures on the beach. And that's just not things that exist in Ohio or like when I lived in New York. And I don't want to say this as like, okay, Australia is better than America, because there are so many things that I missed about America when I was there. I think that provides a lot for people in America, right, who want to be here. There's a lot of people who don't want to leave, So I'm not saying that Australia is just better. I'm just saying that the things that I value the most is what Australia naturally provides to me. And I don't feel like I need to fight to achieve something in my life. I feel like I just wake up and it's just like that. And of course, the work comes in when it comes to transitioning into a new place. And that's going to be really interesting, but I know that it's going to be worth it because I can see my life down the line in Australia, but I cannot see what my future looks like in America. Like the future that I want, I don't think I could achieve here. And so that kind of sums up really why I'm moving to Australia. Of course, that comes with sad things that you will not get in any other situation. I mean, the feeling of being so far away from home and family and not being able to talk to people all the time because of the time difference. And that is really hard. And you get a sort of homesickness and loneliness that you wouldn't get in any other way. And you sort of get this conflict of like, why am I choosing this? But even being back home and having all those things I was missing there and knowing that like Australia still outweighs my will to be here, I know that it's right. And I think to be able to do something like that and know that I'm going somewhere where there's so many people doing that, again, makes Australia so special. Like I didn't realize everywhere you go, you are running into people who are doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. Yeah, so that makes me feel like at the end of the day, I won't be alone, and I know for a fact that I'll find a community. So those are the biggest things about why I'm choosing to move to Australia from America, and I'm really excited to share my second year on this channel.